So I have an intention to share some videos from Bali. So these are my Bali casts. And I want to start with what I consider to be the bottom line, the one of the great ultimate truths that I know and feel is important in life, but it's always hard to talk about because it's so close in our experience that we take it for granted. We It's not in question because we think we are it, and that is this question. Traditions have often phrased as "Who am I?" and really the question is, "What am I?" And even if you have an answer to that, you have to apply it to the dynamics of the voice in our head. How does the internal dialogue of us thinking about ourselves create our identity, and how does that affect our experience of life and you know living and abiding as ourselves? And this develops from such an early age, the configuration of our identity, of how we exist as ourselves within ourselves, is like develops from a very early age. It's something beyond question, but it develops. When we're born, we don't have this mind of thinking about ourselves, and yet to get oriented to the world, our parents and later our family and schools give us a narrative of this is this and this is this, and don't cry and eat this, and how to be and what to think. And it creates a mental dialogue of thinking about ourselves. And it's like the ultimate screen to 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 be engrossed in this thinking about ourselves. And it's it becomes an illusion that this is what we are, that we're become identified with the train of thoughts we have about life and ourselves and how we feel and all these things. And yet it's the source of so much of our pain, because our idea of what we should be, the idealized self, is never we never live up to it. And this thought concept about ourselves, our like illusory identity, is never enough, because we could always see how we could be better. We see that we're not as cute or getting older. There's smarter people, better musicians, better everything. It just it's it's not the root of our peace and love, and so it's never quite enough. Now there's a lot of self-help kind of narratives that improve that. We make ourselves better. We work on our emotional intelligence, and we clear our shadows, and these are all powerful and worthy objectives. But it's really like cleaning up the room that the true self lives in. And ultimately, all these self help things work better if you're rooted in yourself. And being rooted in yourself solves a lot. And what do I mean by rooted in yourself? Like, there's a part of your being that's the witness to this flow of thoughts, that's the witness to all these emotions. It's pure being, and it's your true nature, and it's imperishable, and it's always exists as you, in you, and is in the source of love. And it's by nature always fulfilled and at peace. But as it gets wrapped up in all the contents of the house we live in, our mind, our emotions, and all the stuff, um, we lose ourselves, and we become at the mercy of what affects this flow of thoughts. So, but it's the ultimate habit pattern, because we live in it day to day to day and throughout our lives. But we always have moments of seeing beyond it. Like even when you just wake up in the morning before you've really started to think, you exist in this peaceful state. And a lot of times when we're doing a sport or an activity that requires concentration, it short circuits the diffusion of thinking, and we, experience a deeper level of ourselves. So we're always having, and even when you're just in love and you're not thinking, you're having any kind of like peak experience that we go for, it's oftentimes an experience closer to our being. Just winning the lottery or something like that. It's more of a mental joy. It goes away in a minute. But these real joys are glimpses of the being within. So the point of self-realization is not only to understand that you're not the flow of thoughts in your head, but to shift the center of your awareness to abiding in the being that you are. And then you can enjoy all the contents of the room that you live in, whether it's your thoughts or emotions or people and all the things, because you're centered in something real and something beautiful. So how do you do that? How do you break this habit? Habits are hard to break anyway, but to break the habit of how you exist within yourself, and the first key is mindfulness. That cliche phrase, be here now, it's really kind of a bottom line. Being present makes you centered in the here and now and in the being that you are. And it's like a muscle. At first, it's like, you want to wander from it. But the more you're present with yourself, in the moment, the more fulfilling that becomes and the more you just want to be there. So you just have to create this habit of mindfulness. And if you get distracted from it, keep coming home to it and keep going there until it becomes a habit where it doesn't really feel good to like be lost in thinking. You use thinking as a tool. The next stage is meditation. Like meditation can be really hard at first because the mind is so powerfully resisting stopping thinking. But when you've developed presence and you've cultivated the life force energy through breathing or yoga or just the mindfulness, whatever practices you have to increase your energy, amassing energy and presence within you gives you a place to live, gives you a place to abide outside of the mind. The mind is going to resist moving out of being totally engrossed in it because the mind actually has life force of its own. By our giving our attention to it, it acquires a life force and it struggles and resists, just like quitting tobacco or something. The mind is going to resist like abiding somewhere else. But like if you have a place to be, then it becomes a wonderful seat in this play of life to enjoy and engage boldly in everything, because you have less to lose if you have yourself. So it's not like diluting life. You can enjoy more fully if you can afford to be vulnerable, if you can afford and have access to the love within you. So mindfulness, meditation, even just knowing and feeling and having this intention to continually abide more in presence will, come up in situations that increase your ability to do that. But understand that we develop this identity within by accident, not by exercise, not by intention, but by just being raised in the world. And it doesn't have to be that way. And it's not the most blissful and it's not the most loving place to come from. So via whatever path or tradition or meditation, develop a plan and an action to be yourself.